All right, guys. So we've been talking about interest rates. We've been talking about what we can do to keep selling. Yeah, so this is the time of the cycle. As you guys know, things have slowed down a little bit. Not super significantly, but a little bit. And this is the time where some of the realtors who are struggling kind of drop off, right? We start shedding some of the ones. So there's the pie is a little smaller, but there's more of it for each of you who's out there trying and hustling. You guys, I don't know how many of you guys are, would you say are really putting in the effort. If you're, I don't know how many of you guys are working 40 hours a week. I mean, which is, I don't know. But I'm not a dummy. And I know some of you guys, I never get a phone call from some of you guys, and not necessarily ones on this call, but some of you agents, I don't get calls from before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I pick up on these things because I have certain schedule, and I know when you guys call me, when you don't, when you have questions, when you need a psychologist, all that kind of stuff. So then some of you I hear from all different types of days, middle of the night, all kinds of stuff too. So you guys make sure that you're putting in the effort out there. Otherwise, what are you doing? And of course, if you're on this call, you're probably putting in some effort. So I like that. What I want to give you guys is the tools now, because right now, are you guys hearing, and if some of you guys will pipe in, please, with what you're hearing for objections of why people don't want to buy right now? Or, I mean, right now we're looking for buyers, right? Mostly. I mean, there are some sellers out there, but some sellers don't want to sell because they don't want to buy right now with these interest rates. So let's hear what you guys are hearing.
Hi, Ryan. It's Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, I keep having buyers come to me and they're looking for things, and they don't seem to have, the interest rate is bothering some, but others, yeah, I've lost some buyers, which is upsetting, but because the prices are going down, there's some great deals. And so I'm telling people, I don't think the prices are going to go low when there is going to be some inventory, if there is, when Jack and Jill can't afford their house, the ones that just recently purchased it. So I think things are going strong here for me. However, I actually have some contract deals that I need help with. And I asked, I'm looking for a mentor that can help me with some contract deals. I just feel like I'm still kind of new, that I need somebody like a little bit more support. And I sometimes don't ask for help. And that's my problem.
Okay. Well, we can help you with that. So the interest rates, I'm getting that from Ida, Lori on the chat are saying interest rates. Is that what everybody's getting? Tammy, Mike, everybody, if you're out there, nod your head. That is the thing. Yeah. So let me hear from you guys, and you're going to have to pipe in on this one, need some feedback. What are you telling them?
Well, I was going to say also that I'm getting feedback about the interest rates as far as buyers for my listings go. So we got an offer that's $50,000 under list price. And of course, my sellers were extremely offended and, upset about it. But the buyer's agent is basically saying that they're just really scared of the interest rates and, getting involved into a house that, is going to be a lot for them. So, they sent in a $50,000 offer under list price, which is hard on the sellers, but they're going to have to start figuring out a way of getting in this mindset that the market has shifted.
Okay, fantastic. And what was the price point of that house?
It's listed at, I think, 480. Yeah, 480.
Okay. So they came in at 430-ish.
Well, they came in actually at 420, and then they said the highest they would go was 430.
Okay. So Ida's telling them Ida's telling them what we've been talking about, the marry the house and date the interest and stuff like that. I don't know how much of that you guys.
You can offer, ask for closing costs or a chunk to try to buy down the rate as well.
You guys are familiar with the 2-1 buy down, right? I'm getting half a nod from Mike and no nods from anyone. I'm getting a nod from Lisa. Everybody's familiar with it. Does anybody want to try to explain it to me?
This is Ida.
I know Ida.
My voice sounds a little funny. I've been under the weather. But I will let them know that the seller, we will try to negotiate that with the seller for the seller to pay for that, right? As a credit on a closing. And normally is offered by the lender a lower rate for 2 years. If the rate right now that they're buying is at 7%, the first year when the payment begins, they will pay, let's say, 4% or 5%, and then the following, and they will save like maybe 3,000, depending on the price, the price that they bought the house, and then the second year, it's gonna be like 6%, 5%, 6%, and then the third year, then they will be paying what the mortgage that was agreed upon at the 7% rate, if that was the rate that when they bought. Right?
That is how much so if I'm the buyer, I can just come with a check and buy this down, right?
I mean, to me, is a great offer. It's just a different mentality, right? For me, it's good, but for the other person beside me, it's not. It just depends of how much risk are you willing to take. And I see, maybe they see it as a risk, but you know that the rates are going to come down. Everything that goes up going to come down, right? So
yeah,
I'm Ryan, you're laughing. I don't know why, but
because not everything comes down. I mean, I don't think I don't think a pound of butter price is ever going to be what it was 2 years ago.
We're talking about those commodities are not going to come down.
Right, but there's no guarantee though, right? So we don't know that 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever that the rate's going to be. We were, these are the highest the rates have been in 20 years. So that makes sense. But those of us who are a little more gray or bald in the head, remember very high interest rates, and that we think that 6.5% is historically pretty low, and there's no guarantee. So you can't go around telling them, oh, just wait 2.5 years and refinance. Although everybody you talk to says that. Of course, everybody you talk to is a lender, so right. That's what they have to do. But I'm not here to depress you. I'm here to encourage you, because everything you just said was right. And the question I asked you was, can you bring a check to closing and do this? No, it has to be, everything you said was brilliant, Ida. And all the people that were nodding on here, I don't think they understood it as well as you do. The seller has to do it, and they can only do 2 points of the purchase price. They can only do, what's that?
You say what?
They can only bring in 2% of the thing. So on Angie's, let's say she has a 480. I'm going to make it 500,000 for my math purposes. They can only bring in $10,000, and that'll get them down. Their people down from, let's say they had a 6.5% rate, which is much what we're seeing right now. That would get them down to 5.5 the first year and 4.5 the first year and 5.5 the second year. That is not a $50,000 penalty, nothing like that. And I'm about to show you guys the math on it, because I want you guys to be armed with the facts to actually fight this, because right now you're just hyperbole. You're just this. And Ida, I don't know how this is possibly a bad deal for anybody but the seller, who has to give in $10,000, but that's the way the market is. So what I'm about to show you, I'm going to screen share with you guys now. And please feel free. This is where I told you there was math. You guys didn't read the email. It's on you. There's math involved. So let's look at my Excel spreadsheet that I did take about 7 minutes to prepare for you guys this morning. So you're welcome. As you can see here, so this is a real interest rate. This is where we're going to be putting this in. Everybody see that? I can see a couple of your heads nod if you can see that. Okay, thank you. Do I need to make it bigger? Is that what I need to make it bigger? Okay. Well,
that'd be great. Yes. Oh.
Okay. I just don't know how to do it.
Bottom right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know what? About 40 minutes from now, I would have figured it out. All right.
I
Here
don't
we go.
think so.
So this is our box. The rest of these I just did with a little formula. I did an adjustment from 4% because that's where we're stuck in our mind that people ought to be getting 4%. That's what buyers think they ought to be getting, 4%, right? They heard about their cousin who got a 2.75 a couple of years ago, but they think 4 is fair, which those of us who are a little older think is awesome, but they think it's just fair. So I did an adjustment from 4%. So let's look at 7%. We can look at 6.5%, stuff like that. I don't want to confuse the issue here, but the adjustment, as we guys have talked about, I think it's $58 and something, but let's call it $60 for every 100,000 borrowed. Every percentage point is $60 a month. Everybody nod if you got that. I can only see a couple of your heads, Abdul and Tammy. Ida, I see your picture. You can't nod, but I appreciate that. Okay. So I made a little thing here, 3,000 borrowed, 300,000 borrowed all the way up to 900,000. And the adjustment on your thing. So if you're getting 7% right now, which is high, you're getting 7%, the adjustment for 4% is 3, right? The additional payment is $540 a month. Boy, that sounds like a lot. Over 5 years, that's $32,400, right? I mean, that's a car loan, right? But guys, if you're borrowing 300,000, you're buying a $330,000, $350,000 house. Fair enough, right? Guys, a year ago you were paying 40,000 over asking. So is this really that big of a thing? If they have to wait 5 years, I did 5 years. 5 to 7 years is when people move. Depending on, this is a starter home. They're going to be out of there before 5 to 7 years, right? If they just got married, they're going to have kids, they're going to do whatever. It's their first house. They're going to want a nicer house. They're going to, whatever, right? Their credit just started getting good. They just started making some money. They're going to want a nicer house in 3, 4, 5 years, and they're going to move. But they also might refinance within, if Ida's right, in 2 or 3 years, these rates are going to be back down to, lenders say, that it's worth refinancing if you can get a point off. If you can knock a percentage point off. You have to do the math on that and see where your closing costs are and all that stuff. But in 3 years, they will have paid $19,500. You don't think that $350,000 house is going to be worth more than 20 grand more in 3, 4, 5 years? So this is where, guys, you got to arm yourself with the facts, arm yourself with numbers, and you've got to be able to digest this so you can present it to them. I don't mean to cloud the issue by doing all of these numbers, but this is what it relates to. You guys know when somebody, how many of you guys have sold I can't see all your faces and stuff. How many of you guys have sold a $900,000 house? Right? Or more, right? Is $1,620. Did you guys look at I don't know if you looked at their disclosure. Is $1,620 a month a big deal to those people? Not that much, right? This house, if they 5 years, they will have spent an extra $97,200. Is that $900,000 house going to be worth 100 grand more in 5 years? I mean, this would have been probably $1.1 million house or whatever because they had cash to put down. But you don't think that house will be worth extra? You know what I mean? In 5 years, as opposed to what? So these are just things to think about. And if you can do the 2-1 buy down on this $500,000 house. Let's make this 480. Let's look at Angie's listing. This 480, if they had 7, but let's say they're probably going to get 6.5. Hey, where's your 480? Right here. Let's highlight that. Look, Angie, that extra 2.5 points over 4. They're going to pay $43,200 over 5 years in extra. And they want $50,000 off. That's ridiculous. They're not afraid of an interest rate. They know what the interest rate is. They could refinance 3 years from now if it gets back down to 4 or 5, whatever, and this number will be very much smaller. If they move in 5 years, they will have only paid $43,200 in extra interest because of rates. A $480,000 house a year ago, yeah, your rate would have been 4, but you would have paid $50,000 over asking, or you would have paid a lot more for that house, $40,000 over asking, right? So, guys, and the seller would have made you not move in for 2 months while they tried to find somewhere to live, and they would have bossed you around and taken everything out of the house and taking your firstborn child and everything else, right? The formula for the additional payment, Well, here, I'll show you the formula. Additional payment. Let me see the formula. I did C2 that the amount borrowed divided by 100,000 because it's 60,000. I could have just made this a much smaller number of 0.00006, but $60 per 100,000. So that's how. So I did the adjustment times the $60 a month, or yeah, $60 a month per 100,000. Okay. So you can do that. How much will the cost the seller to 2-1 buy down to 400,000? GK, it's 2 points. It's so 400 will be 8,000. 2%. Think of what your commission would be if you got a 2% commission. That's what it would be. Not bad at all, right? Makes a lot of sense. It makes sellers feel better, makes buyers feel much better, doesn't it? I mean, 7%, but you know, I think everybody thinks rates will be down. I just don't like guaranteeing. I don't want you guys telling people that. I can just only imagine the lawsuits if realtors are out there telling, or lenders are out there telling, oh, it'll definitely be, I can imagine it being in emails and everything else, that your rate will be back down in 2 years, you know? So any questions on that? It's pretty cool, right? I mean, I wanted to arm you guys with the facts. Let's get out there and sell some real estate. There's you guys are being, and I get it. I get it. It's hard to combat if you're sitting at Panera Bread and your friend says interest rates are high. Well, let me pull out my handy dandy formula, but you can tell them it's $60 a month for every percentage point for every $100,000. Okay. And that is a round number. I think Tom was in here a couple of weeks ago and said it was 58 something. But that's what it is. So you can see that. You can buy down interest rates there, but be careful about telling them to buy down stuff. I mean, you can buy down up to maybe a 1/4 point, and they can only charge 3% in lender fees and buy down. So total, but I think 1% might only get you 1/4 point or something like that. And you've got to live in the house a while for that to make sense. So think about that. If you're going to refinance in 3 years, that doesn't make sense at all. Okay. So think about that. What else? Anybody else? Okay. Any other questions on that?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'd heard of this and I had someone try to explain it to me. This is the first time. This is a very good run through on that, but go through again. It's called the 2-for-1. I guess what the buyer asks the seller to pay a particular amount for this particular program, correct?
2-1 buy down. It's called 2-1 buy down, and I'm going to have another lender come in a couple of weeks, and they're going to mention that as part of the things that they do. I think Tom does it. Tom explained it to us. I think you know, these guys, and Tom's my brother-in-law, and I think these guys, they get you know, they do this every day, and they, just like we would run through sellers disclosures, they run through this stuff like everybody understands it, and not everybody does, especially when they come out with new programs. I mean, remember they were doing programs to help buyers buy houses a couple of or, you know, get your offer accepted before, and now they're talking about how to do seller concessions. So yes, they can do up to 2%. Or no, they need to do 2% for this to work. The seller, it has to be a seller contribution. You can't come in with a check. The lenders can only charge you so much. They can't have you coming in with a big check and buying everything down. Okay, so the seller has to contribute 2% of the purchase price. Has to contribute. You can, yes, to answer your next question, yes, you can offer them more and take it off as long as it appraises, right? So 2% of the purchase price. So on Angie's 480, again, 482%, that's going to be $9,600. That her seller could contribute $9,600, and she could tell these buyers, look, you're only going to do, now I didn't do the math for the 2-1 buy down. That's not what this is at all. This is just straight interest rates. It would be better. So if you want to do that, let's figure that out. So let's put them back at 7%. Let's put Angie's buyers back at 7%. All right, that's 3, but in the first year, they're only going to be 5%. 5% on and again, I'm looking at 100% finance if they were doing 100% financing. Let's say they're not doing 100% financing. Let's say they're doing 90% financing. So 480 minus 48 is 432. Okay. Everybody follow me on that? They're going to pay an additional $259 a month this first year. So they're going to pay an additional 3110. All right. If it over 4%, now that's not a real thing. I just made up the 4% thing, right? I mean, that's kind of what we think of as low interest rates. Is that fair? Give me a nod on that if everybody thinks that's pretty fair. Okay, that's what we think of as low interest rates. That's what I think of. All right. And then from there, year 2, they're going to be back up to 6%, right? Which that's an additional 6221, which makes sense because it's double. All right. And then the next year and from there on out, they're going to be at 7%. So let's say they lived there 5 years. We're going to do 3 years at 7%. We did 1 year at 5, 1 year at 6, and now we're going to do 3 years at 7. So if her sellers gave $9,600, they're going to, these people are only going to see in 5 years, they're only going to see a what, 27, 28, 31, $37,000 difference. Okay. I don't know if you guys know Excel formulas, but that's how you do it. 37,325 is what they will pay over 5 years with the 2-1 buy down.
So you take that minus the 46? If you took that from the
No,
46?
no. So the only difference is, so it's almost exactly a $9,600 difference. I mean, it's really the same, right? So the sellers are pretty much giving them $9,600 is all. If they'd say they're 5 years, if they refinance after 3 years or whatever, they've only spent $9,331, right?
But you're saying this 37.25 is what they would have spent in interest over 5 years, right?
No, it's what they will spend over 4%. Yes. They'll still spend that much.
So if you took that minus, take the 46.
That's how much they save with the 2-1 buy down. Yes.
Yeah, you subtract that, and that's the difference. Well, yeah, okay. Cool.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So that's if they do 90% financing and whatever else. Okay. So that's how it works. It's a 2-1 buy down. It's just a seller concession. Saves them some money. That's it. But if you look at their interest rates the first couple of years while they're waiting for this thing to get back on track, it's only costing them $9,331.
If they kept it 5 years, they would have saved $10,000. About a little.
Yeah, about that, which is about the amount of the buy down. So it's almost just like, here's your money, you know?
Right. Okay, got it.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
I appreciate that. Thanks for taking the time and going through that. Yeah, because it's there's a little bit more involved, and I would hate to try and explain it the way I thought it worked and to have egg on my face on that one.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty analytical, so this stuff I like this stuff. But you guys, well, how would you like to have? When somebody goes in and they're telling them 6.5%, well, how'd you like to have 4.5 for a year and then 5.5 in your second year? We can get the sellers to do that. Does that make a difference for you guys? Right? Of course it does, because a lot of people think, ask them, Mike, talk to them. When do you you guys think that interest rates will get better? Why? Because what are people telling you? And use their words, not against them, but use their words to bring them to the conclusion. What are people telling you? Oh, we're going to sit out a year because of interest rates. Is that what they're saying? We're going to sit out a year or two.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Because I think it's going to come back down with what they see.
Okay. Well, then doesn't this make sense? What if I can get the seller to buy down your interest rate 2 points the first year and 1 point the second year? I know you got an approval for 6.5. What if I can get you 4.5 the first year and 5.5 the second year, and it doesn't cost you anything, and you can go ahead and get this house and take all the appreciation?
But then they think the house price is going to come down too.
Well, well, is it? They think their prices are going to drop.
Yeah.
I don't think people really believe. I mean, people will use that as objection.
Some of them do.
Well, yeah. They say, Tammy, people say things. They don't. I don't think people really believe that. This isn't the market of 2008 where people were doing liar loans and all that stuff. Stated income. Yeah. I work at Burger King and my wife's a babysitter and we make $350,000 a year. Right. So I don't think that's a thing.
I'm with Tammy. I do believe people are still holding into that hope that something gonna drop from the sky next year.
You guys tell me, are the prices of anything lowering?
No.
No, we know that, Ryan, but you
Well,
know,
don't tell me.
no, we can just keep hammering this information that you are passing on to us, this knowledge, right? And this idea of breaking it down this way, I like it. I just needed formulas that you use. Thank you.
You need the formulas?
Yes.
All right. I mean, I can.
Well, they can take a picture of the screen. If you put the formula up there, just take a picture of the screen, on one of the formulas, and you just change it for the others, right?
Okay. Yeah, it is, guys. I don't know how to do this. It is $60 for every $100,000, for every interest point for every $100,000 per percentage point per $100,000 is $60. And that's it's 58 something or whatever, just do 60. All right. So, and I'm just doing here, I just have this adjustment from 4 just being whatever I put in this box. This is the only adjustable box I have on this. Well, this and the amount borrowed if I need to do specific ones like this, but I'm going to move that back to 500,000. All right. So, and this stuff is just filled down stuff from the additional payment is just 360, whatever, right? So this is 3. If I do, someone gets 7%, it's 3 more than 4%, which is everybody's favorite rate to say. The adjustment, $60 per 100,000, and this is your additional payment per month. This is your monthly additional. So, and this is just multiplying this times 12, this times 48 times 36 times 48 and times 60. See, just D2 times 60.
Okay, so there's my question. I missed a step, or I'm missing something, or I need more copy. So if the interest rate gets purchased down, they're paying less interest, but column D, the additional payment, it actually creates an additional, let's say that top line there, 540 per month. Is that correct? I'm trying to figure out how buying the interest rate down, it looks like a lower interest rate, but they're actually paying more per month.
No, that's
I can't make that.
No, this is from 4%. And I understand that confusion. Everything is based off 4% here, but I just made that up. I can change that if I wanted to say 3.5% or 5%, whatever people think is a fair interest rate. I can change that. The only thing I did here is put A11 minus 4. I could make that 3 if you guys think 3% is a fair rate, and now up and all these numbers just went up. Okay, I'm doing above 4%.
Okay, but so I'm trying to grasp if the interest rate is lower, but their payment per month is greater. Is that correct, or is it?
No. This is everything above 4%. So I've changed this number. If I make this 4, they'll have no additional payment. Okay, this is their interest rate they're getting from the lender. Their real interest rate, they're going to actually be on their closing disclosure, right? It's going to be on their pre-approval letter, everything else. But I changed that. If it's up 5, it's only going to be 180 on 300,000 and 540 on 900,000 because it's only 1 point over the 4. So I just based on 4.
It's showing you the savings, kind of.
Savings.
I'm showing you,
I saw a blip there from GK. Yeah, so that's an actual savings to the buyer.
No. I'm sorry. No, this is additional they're going to pay. So when they come to you and say, these rates are ridiculous, this is what they're talking about. This $300,000 house is going to cost me an extra $540 a month.
Because
this isn't about the 2-1 buy down. Don't conflate this with the 2-1 buy down. I did that separately. I'm not saying people need to do the 2-1 buy down. I'm just saying it's an option. I'm talking about what people are actually going to be paying over that.
They're given the reality check on 7% interest is really, in the whole long big scheme of things, is not that much more based on what people were paying years ago to have to outbid people. So when you look at the whole big picture, 7% really isn't that much more than 3% or 4%. And those are the amounts that are showing you the additional, the difference between the 3 and the 7% is the 540, 720, correct?
Okay, so yeah, yes. So what happens is, guys, what I wanted to tell you is, a year ago, people will talk about interest rates, and you say, yeah, they were 4% a year ago, right? So a year ago, though, so in 5 years, if you bought a $300,000 house, five years from now, this 7% interest rate is going to cost you $32,000 over that time. That's what this 540 is over 5 years, right? Just like you're buying a Volvo, okay? That's what it is over 5 years. So $32,400 is the amount additional that you're going to pay in 5 years because your interest rate is 7 instead of 4, right? Okay. But a year ago, you would have gotten 4%, but you would have paid $35,000 more for that house because that's the way the market was, right? Escalator clauses and over asking and 35 offers. Especially, you guys know this. I mean, if you're borrowing 300, it's a $330,000 house. You guys remember that last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
This thing would have been listed at 299 and it would have sold for 350. That's the way it was, 340. That's the way it was. So they would have paid this anyway. They would have owed this anyway when they sell the house. So that is the difference. And now 5 years from now, I mean, honestly, what are they doing? Are they renting now, or what are they doing? Because if they're renting, it's 100% interest. That's a no-brainer argument. Anybody that says
if they sold before 5 years, back in the crazy time when they paid 30,000 over the value, and if they sold in 3 years, they don't save anything. If you do it this way with a higher interest rate and you sell in 3 years, you're actually coming out ahead than
you paid less
crazy market.
Right, because this money never materializes if you sell it before then.
Right.
Yeah, but the actually paying the 340 instead of 299 does materialize when you go to sell it. You owe that much more in your mortgage, regardless of what your interest rate is. Right. So, guys, I just wanted to give you guys a weapon here to use, another arrow in your quiver, if you will, when people have the objection of interest rates. It isn't any. It's probably better than it was a year ago to buy. And you guys were selling left and right a year ago, right? And don't let people, it's still time to sell. Don't let people talk you out of it with their objections. At least know what to talk to them about. And if they're talking about renting versus buying, I'm renting right now, I'm going to rent another year because these interest rates, well, that's ridiculous. Rent is 100%. You're paying, if you're renting from me, you're paying my pool service, my lawn service, my property taxes, my insurance, my mortgage, everything, right?
And they pay your vacation too.
Yeah, they're paying my vacation too, and they're not getting any of that back ever. And they're not getting any of my appreciation. They're not getting any of that stuff. And you know what? If I ever do want to sell it, I'm going to non-renew them, right? So there you have it. So that if that's the argument, that's fine. If they're talking about they don't want to sell their house because they've got it at 4% and they don't want to buy one at 7%, let them know what the difference is in that. That's when you use this, right? Let them know what the difference is.
Hey, Ryan, since I don't want to reinvent the wheel, why don't you share this spreadsheet with us? Because I can play with the numbers when I have the buyer in front of me.
Okay.
Thank
you sure can. You sure can. And there's I can sell you a licensing fee for this for $5 a month.
That's very reasonable. I will pay you that.
Oh, thank you very much, Ida. Everybody else, it's free. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna scream now.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions on this before I stop sharing this? Anybody want me to look at a number? Anybody have a specific case that they're interested in? I think Angie's was very interesting, and people will try to use that as a thing, and maybe they think so. Maybe they looked at it and said, you know what, if we pay 480, we're going to pay an extra 50 grand over 5 years. I want that off the price. That's fair enough if somebody falls for it. But her seller also has every right to be insulted by it, because it's not, it's good for Angie to get that kind of offer. It's good for her to, splash some cold water in her sellers' faces and say, look, this is what the market's like right now. But at the same time, you don't want to splash so much that they're like, you know what, we'll just forget it. We'll just live here. So I don't know the situation, but any other questions on that before I stop sharing it?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So when you put the offer, how do you write that down for the 2-by-1 buy down? How do you?
Oh, your lender will give you, you don't write it. Let your lender give you the language that you need, but it's a seller concession it'll be 2% of the purchase price.
Okay, thank
you. So if you have a $500,000 house and the seller's not willing to, whatever, the buyer really wants it, whatever, you can do it for 5, 10 and do 2% or whatever, right? So and cross your fingers that it appraises. Appraisals haven't been a problem. I talked to a couple of lenders about that this week. They haven't had a problem with appraisals. Of course, everything's slowed down. They're slow, but they're still writing loans. I mean, obviously we're closing stuff. I mean, you guys are doing okay. We're down a little bit, but not that much. Anybody else seeing anything else out there that they need? They have any questions on this? I'm going to stop sharing it on the screen.
Oh, this is Lisa. I have a question. I was wondering if any of the other agents have used any of the down payment assistant programs that are online. Like I spoke with a lender recently. She came to a morning meeting and she said that she can offer like double, like people can get 2 programs. Like you're not just limited to one. So she said that she can help with grant programs and down payment assistance. And she said she's combined them up to $170,000. I'm like, what? Like I couldn't believe that. And so I was just wondering, I actually have a family that's on very low income and they're just like looking for land and then like maybe even a mobile home. But yeah, so I'm trying to find some assistance for that family in particular.
Have you guys worked with any of that recently? Are you in a USDA? Are they looking at a USDA area?
Oh, they could. Yeah, they could look in Polk County.
Gosh, is that what it's down to now?
I think she told me it was Orange County specifically, either Orange or Osceola. I'm going to get back in touch with her. It's a lender I had used 5 years ago myself. And so after I bought my house, I was like, she actually charged me more in my interest rate. So she ended up selling the loan like a month later or something. So I think that I should have gotten an excellent rate then. So then I never used her or even called her after that. But then I saw her at a meeting and then she told me that. I was like, wow. But, so I'm like kind of skeptical too.
Okay. Well, I think I would talk to her if they're offering that. That certainly makes a lot of sense.
And I'm going to pursue it just for this family to learn more about it. But I wondered if anyone else had done that with these 1 or 2 programs.
Anybody else? You want to know about USDA too, or just the DPA?
No, I don't. But what I know is that amount sounds so exaggerated, but there is a lot of program. The lender will know. Some lenders don't like to work with it because they feel maybe it's too much paperwork. But if they know and they specialize on doing this, it's a piece of cake. As I hear that from others, once the city, the county runs out of money, there's no funds there, but the state housing corporation, finance corporation always have money. So then that's something that the lenders know for your buyers.
Well, I'll find out what I can because she was very professional when I worked with her the whole time, except when she gave me the interest rate. I didn't like that, but she seems very confident and she's done it in the past. So she's with Paramount. And so,
Lisa, if she's out there hustling it, she's willing to work it, just like you're willing to work with these people. And the reason they don't, guys, is the reason they don't hustle these down payment assistant programs, the same reason you don't go out and chase land for mobile homes very often, because there's just not that much payment in it. They want to get big loans just like you want to sell mansions. and they get paid about, just so you guys know, they get paid about 1.25 or something like that on what they do. So they get paid a little less than half of what you get paid typically. So they want to do big loans just like you want to do. Well, plus they only get paid on the part that's a loan. They don't get paid on the whole house. So they want to do big loans like you guys want to do big loans. So a lot of times you will have to just realize when you ask for help on something, what you're asking for help on. And conversely, when you give them a mansion, make sure they appreciate it and you get a lead or something out of them, because you're giving them a gold mine. So just, you give them a good credit mansion versus a down payment assistant mobile home land. Those are two different kind of deals. And just like you guys don't want to, if I say, oh, wow, Tammy, you're in real estate. Well, I've got somebody who wants to rent something, can you help them out? And Tammy's going to say, oh, yeah, I guess, it depends on what else I'm going to bring her. What, since you did give me those good buyers last year, whatever. But typically she's going to say, hey, Ryan, anybody wants this? So that's the kind of thing it is. So if they're willing to hustle this, if they're out there promoting it and doing breakfast and learns or whatever, lunch and learns about this stuff, then I would definitely work with them, because there's not a ton of them out there pushing these DPAs. In fact, every time we have a lender on, you guys try to ask them about this stuff and they kind of brush through it real quickly because they don't want it. But if she's out there hustling it and telling people about it, I don't know if you guys dragged it out of her, if she's out there, promoting it. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the USDA stuff. They're not excited to work with it because typically it's going to be lower income areas or more rural areas or something like that. So yeah.
Right.
Well, usually there's an income limit too. They
Right.
make too much money or
Right.
Yeah.
Which means by definition, it's going to be small loans.
I see. Well, yeah, maybe something she's doing and she's promoting it and she's very efficient. So I'm going to see, I'll just work with her a little bit. And then if she's got good information, I'll share it with you guys.
Okay. Fantastic.
Thank
you. Bet. Any other? Yes, Mike.
Yes. My little blurb on DPAs, I haven't done them in a long time. Years ago, I did a few of those, or at least attempted. They're pretty labor intensive forms, but both of them that I was trying to do, it fell on the buyer. And there's requirements the lender or the DPA program that requests the buyer to do, and the buyer just they just weren't able to follow through with the program. So they fell apart for that, but that's the way they went. Question for everybody out there. Listings, you've probably seen, I've had a couple come through here where agents from other brokerages are willing to do open houses. I haven't committed to anybody yet. I've had a few more requests here lately. Any pros or cons from anybody? Anybody done that with another? I don't see any downfalls or anything bad, but what are some pitfalls? What are some things we could make them work better? Anybody?
I think that doing the open house gets you back into just getting a lot of people coming in. You can take them as a referral and sell them. I love open houses. I need to get back into it, even out of other agents who are listing in this area. Is that your question?
Yeah, I have the listing, and I have another realtor requesting to do an open house at my listing.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I haven't gone through them, but anybody experienced might know some things that trip us up or things to be aware of.
Working brokerages, working open houses for other brokers' listings. Is that what you're talking about?
Where I have the listing, and agents from other brokers are willing to do open houses at my listing. Yes. Well,
do you put these on our Facebook thing and nobody wants them? Because I have agents who tell me
other brokers come to me. Agents come to me.
If you want people to work them, I would recommend that you have our people work them. If you got people to work them, I mean, I'd love to see that. So our people get them.
There you go. So,
we do have some hungry agents on there. Chuck put one on there the other day, and a couple people responded. So yeah, put them on our Facebook page before you do that. Yeah, any kind of listing you have and you don't want to work an open house, guys, especially sellers. Okay, yeah, sellers about 2% of the time it's going to sell that house, but Agents love working them because they get leads for other things. Sellers like them because they think it's going to sell their house. And I don't think, and guys, it makes you look, especially now we're getting back time to work when you have listings, not like it was last year, right? It's time to work again. And sometimes what the customer is always right. And the customer, well, usually right. But if the customer wants to see your effort of working an open house, then get your butt out there on a Saturday or Sunday and work an open house, guys, or get somebody else to do it. You know, say, oh yeah, we'll do it. Guys, you're part of a brokerage, a pretty big brokerage. You can say, we'll do this, we'll do that. And you can have Lisa or Abdul or anybody, Lori, anybody come out there and work your open house. Doesn't matter. I would not have another brokerage do it. It makes you look bad.
I will.
I gonna put myself out there to do open house. Mike, what is your number? Where are you listing?
I think I'll put it in the chat. How's that?
Your number, yes. And
Yeah,
we
let me
can
pull it up.
coordinate something. There you go. I agree with Ryan. It should stay in the house.
Well, it should, because it makes you look good. I mean, if they listed with you over their friend that works at Keller Williams and their open house, a Keller Williams agent is there. I mean, and I know that's who's bothering me about it, because I do that a lot. That's what we ought to be doing, guys. And that's what I was talking about earlier. I don't know how much you guys are working, but if you're not putting in the work, and I don't mean just hours I mean, there's nothing to do if you don't know what to do. So first of all, I think you guys are a little bit paralyzed because you're getting pushback now. And some of you guys, you need a little motivation sales wise. And I want to give you the tools to fight it. That's what we use that Excel spreadsheet for. The main objection you're getting right now, I know, is interest rates, right? It's gonna be hard for you guys to believe. I have friends and I've talked to them and they say that interest rates are bothering them, right? A couple of them I have heard that, oh, I think prices are going to come back down. And I've offered them a wager on that. So you want to, meet up a year from now, and if prices are down, we'll pick any house you want. And if the price is down a year from now, I'll give you $1,000. If it's up, you give me $1,000. And we'll even use your best friend Zillow, who you think is accurate, right? That Zestimate will be up a year from now. I bet $1,000, almost all my money. So that's how the market works, and those are going to be your main objections, and you guys have the tools to fight them. And you ought to be hustling. And if you can work an open house for Chuck or Mike or whoever doesn't want to work their open houses, then do it. And it's going to make Mike look good. Mike, you're going to look good to your sellers, because sellers like that. Sellers like open houses, because my realtor's working for me. And, and they know about the market, right? You've had this conversation about the market. Things have slowed down. Don't expect to sell it in 3 days, because we have 84 offers and we're going to pick the one that gives you 75,000 over asking price, and you can live here another 6 months, right? Those days are gone. They know that, but they want to see that you're hustling, and they won't blame you as much. They're always going to blame you if their house doesn't sell. They won't blame you as much if they know you're hustling. Mike's office has somebody out here and sell it like that, Mike. Don't say, yeah, Ida's going to do it. Say, yeah, my office we're going to have people out here this weekend, right? We're going to have our team on it. Now, that sounds like they're getting some service right there. We're going to have our team on it, right? And in this case, you and Ida are a team. You guys have an agreement. Ida's going to work there. She gets to keep leads she gets. She has to show the house. If she gets a buyer, she gets paid. Right?
Very good. No.
So we're doing it.
I like that. Thank you. I'll have to approach it that way.
I would never, for just the aesthetics of it, I would never have another brokerage do a listing.
Well, good point. Yeah. I have another curiosity question for you. It's a wild card. It's for you, Ryan. In showing time, has anybody else seen this, where we set it up in notifications that people come in and they want to show properties? In showing time, it says that you get a copy of each notification. Are you aware of that? Have you seen that?
I do.
Yeah, it says in showing time. Yeah, under on the home.
Yeah, it does. It does say the broker. You get a copy. It does say Ryan gets a copy. I've seen
Oh,
that.
I must have put an email rule where that goes to spam
Well,
or
I was
something.
going to
I'm not.
say, are there any days you don't get less than 300?
No. My email has a lot of rules, and I'm sure that's one of them. That only took once or twice. One day of that, I'm sure I was like, oh my gosh. No. I get copied on every time you guys get an Op City or Prime Street League. Those are annoying enough. You guys get tons of those. I get for some of you, I get when you make changes to transaction desk, you delete files or whatever from transaction desk, you clean it up. I get notified on that, and I'll get 50 of those when you wipe them out. It drives me bananas, but it doesn't happen about, it's only a couple. I don't know, or maybe some of you just never clean it up, but I get those. It drives me bananas. But yeah, Carissa and I both have tons of things we get. I get notified every time you guys get a courtesy notice on a listing because it's time to mark it sold or whatever. I get notified on that. I get tens of those every day that you guys have violated something or you just time to do something or whatever it is. First notice, second notice, third notice. If I start seeing second notices, by the way, I will also forward it to you and tell you to fix it before they fine you. So yeah, I get all kinds of stuff. It's busy.
Oh, Ryan, I have a question. How much does the property management department charge for helping with leases? You know,
helping with leases.
Yeah, like I have a owner that owns a daycare, and they were thinking about. I was trying to get them to sell it, but they may put it up for lease. So I was wanting to refer.
You lease it. You lease it out, Lisa. That's money.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't
know.
No,
you charge them whatever you agree to charge them. It's a commercial lease.
Okay.
No, I'm asking you. It's a commercial building, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, you do a lease on that. Put it on. I'd put it on. What kind of business is it? Daycare, you said?
Yeah, but it hasn't been in business for a long time. I believe they still have the license, and so I have to confirm that because they told me before they were actually working with somebody that wanted to put a business.
But she wouldn't draw up the lease.
No.
Right.
They need to have a lease, but you can put it. I would put it on LoopNet and MLS and try to lease the building.
Oh, I can.
You can do that. Of course you can. You're a licensed real estate agent in the state of Florida. You can do that.
Okay, I thought I had to have like the property management license.
No, that's not property management. That's a lease, and they're on their own after that. The property doesn't need to be managed.
Okay, I will call you because I think I might have a person that wants to lease it as well.
Oh, that would be even better.
There, well, I'll call you because I don't know how that works for land use. If it can be any business or. Oh
well, I wouldn't know that answer either. You need to talk to the city about that.
Okay,
you talk to them about what their zoning is, and contact. You need to contact them. Don't tell me, oh, well, it's I3 or C2 because that means something different in every jurisdiction. So you need to call the city. What city is it in?
It's in Claremont. I think it's in the it's a business district.
Is it in the city of Claremont or is it in Lake County unincorporated? Okay, it's in the city of Claremont because they'll have different zoning, and if it's just outside the city limits, it means something completely different too. So I wish we had statewide zoning where everything was like certain designations for each one, but we don't. So every jurisdiction has their own, and I3 in Orlando means the same thing as C4 in Claremont or whatever it is. It's all mixed and matched. So you can have a property next door with the same exact business. You can have a tire store that's in the city, and I have one in the next block that's out of the city, and we have different zoning, but it's the same thing. So contact the city of Claremont if it's in that jurisdiction. Contact them and ask them if that's an acceptable use for that thing. If it's a different use, obviously, if it's a daycare again, then it's the same. But
okay, all right, sounds great.
That's important to know. That'd be the first thing you do. Go down there, talk to them, and ask them if there's anything else you need to know about that property. Make sure it's not about to be eminent domain or something for a highway or whatever it is. Just make sure you know everything about it before you lease it.
Oh, okay? Yeah. I don't allowed about it. I wanted to buy it for like 5 years. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go there. And I think it's like 2, but I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't know what that is in each jurisdiction just off the top of my head. So you have to look them up. And even then you want to talk to them. I wouldn't trust even what I find on the internet, on their website. I want to go talk to them.
Okay. All right. I'll do my homework real quick and then I'll call you. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay. Thank you. Pollock, I see that you have your hand up.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that one of the commercial realtors that I was planning on giving them a referral, they flat out refused to have me, like, I just asked them if I could learn something from them, and they just said that they do not allow for agents who are outside of their brokerage. So like showings and things like that. I just wanted to share and learn. So it's like the same thing that the other agent mentioned, like having other people hold open houses. This particular brokerage, they flat out refused.
Refused to have you do what?
To have me, like, I wanted to learn and understand, like take a look at the contract and things like that. So they said they won't train or won't let
Okay,
me
well,
deal with
you should have.
anything.
Where was this? Is this the one in Tampa?
Yes, that was the one in Tampa.
Oh, okay. Well, it's
do we have commercial realtors on team that I could pass them
Okay.
referrals to?
Yeah. Have you ever met AJ?
Yes. He was the one who referred me to this agent because he's
AJ's
not
in here
local
now.
to the Tampa area, and that agent, like, she's like, oh, if you're not a part of our brokerage, we do not let you, be a part of the transaction.
I understand that. So it's up to you who to give that to, and you don't know a lot of people over there. That's just one that you just have to deal with. But I will tell you this: we have lots of commercial agents, tens of them, probably 40 of them, and the problem with that is that everybody has their own. Commercial has 12 niches I can think of off the top of my head, where there's industrial, there's retail, there's office, there's land for this, land for that, there's leasing. The guys that will sell you industrial aren't even the same ones who lease it. I mean, everybody specializes very much in this stuff. So and then you've got different areas. So I have a couple of commercial agents in Tampa. A lot of them are they're either busy or they do it half the time or something like that. So it's because they also do development or do whatever, and they're not working hard on their brokerage or whatever on their brokering. But it's difficult to find somebody who does exactly what you want them to do. But there is somebody. There's always somebody. So chances of us being with our company is not that great. Pretty much in Orlando, we've got people who do everything. But you control, like in Orlando, if somebody doesn't want to help you, then you give it to somebody else. Somebody will. If it's a good lead, if it's a good client, somebody will, give you a percentage and teach you some stuff. I appreciate that you tried that. That was smart.
Yeah, it's the second time I had to. So this particular client, they were like really patient. They waited for a long time, and then she just vanished. So she would not respond. So the client gave up, and I had to pass them on. Like, they got a reference for someone else from another realtor. For me, I would like to just learn, because I'm pretty much clueless when it comes to the commercial part. So yeah, I just wanted to ask if there was someone at the brokerage who could, like, I could pass the leads to.
Okay. Well, in Orlando, yes. In Tampa, sometimes. You just gotta try. And one thing I would say though is when you ask them, just say you want to be included on all the correspondence and everything, not that you want to get trained on it.
Okay.
Just say include me on the court. Nobody can say no to that. It's my referral. I want to be included on all the correspondence.
Okay, that is something I did not know, because I just told her, like, oh, I want to get trained in like this.
Oh, no.
Like,
Yeah. She's not going to do that.
Yeah.
No, there's just a better way to sell it. And that is that I just want to be included on the correspondence. I want to be a liaison with the client throughout the process. All right.
Okay, I'll try that the next time. And then on a different note, I did want to mention that because I own a property down south, I just got like a secondary membership for Beaches MLS. So in case if any of the other realtors need help with like listing a property or maybe co-broking on like that part, South Florida, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I will send you guys, if you email me for it, I will send you guys the the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
Right.
Carolina.
So I have a customer, they work in Disney. I did a contract for them, Ryan Homes, which I would have never done, but anyways, that's besides the point. But we're working on this since August 7th. They have a preferred lender. The buyers qualified for them and an outside lender. And the Ryan Homes was going to give them $10,000 for buyers' closing costs. So here we are, 2 months later. They said that the closing costs are now $30,000, and they need to bring $14 additional thousand to the closing, which wasn't the original contract. They were going to bring $4,000, and so I'm going back and forth with the sales agent and the lender, saying, okay, they will move forward. You need to give them an additional $14,000 for them to move forward. Or you need to release them of the contract and give them their earnest deposit. Question, if these people are going back and forth for the last 2 months, almost 3 months, could the buyer lose their earnest deposit? Because the market has changed, their interest rate is not locked, they're charging them additional to do the loan, and they only want to give them $10,000 like they said they would, and now everything has changed. What has people experienced with this issue?
My take on that, if from what you say, is that the lender just, well, to address could the buyer lose their deposit, in this case, most likely the lender said, no, they can't qualify. We can't approve the loan. And if that's the case, then the buyer would, and the seller is not going to come to terms, then the buyer should get their deposit back. Just due to the fact that the lender can't approve the loan.
But what's going on now is that the lender is saying, yes, they qualified, but yes, they have to bring an additional $14,000. I'm telling them, they don't, because they don't have that money and they won't have it by the time they close. So they're like wanting to push this house down the buyer's throat when it went up by $14,000. And I get it. It's points and that kind of stuff. I get that. But the buyer's like, we can't do it. We don't want to do it. We just want to cancel. But if they want to give us the $14,000 we need at closing to buy down those points, and they can lock us in now, absolutely we'll buy the house. So I'm like, what is going on with these?
Was that new construction? I missed part of that. Was that new construction?
Yes. Closing.
I think if they don't close, they're going to lose their money.
No. You can't change the deal. Have them talk to an attorney, because they can't change the deal. You can't. To say someone needs an extra $14,000 to close is.
Right.
I'm not an attorney. Have an attorney look at it, but you can't. I mean, there are things a person can do and there are things a person can't do. And if they have a financing contingency, they're still within their financing contingency, then absolutely not. I don't care. You can say I close in any. So the reason I say an attorney, if this were any other loan, obviously you can't change the terms of the loan and say, oh yeah, they still qualify. That's why I don't like these in-house lenders. They can't say, oh yeah, they still qualify. Well, it doesn't qualify if you said you changed my down payment to 20% from 10%, then I'm out, right? So they change the deal.
I have heard from other builders that if at the beginning, if they can't qualify, they still lose their deposit. That's what I've been told by.
Well, it depends on the financing condition. That's why you need to talk to an attorney. I absolutely I wouldn't tell them another thing if I were you, other than you need to talk to this attorney.
Okay, so what's going on is that this lender wants them to sign savings plan on the additional $14,000 that they want them to bring to closing. I'm like, are you crazy? But anyway, yeah, so I'm having a struggle with that, and I didn't know if other people were experiencing that, because everybody wants to close. I get that. Everyone wants deals. The sellers, the buyers, all that stuff. But this is borderline to me, where you're putting someone at risk of not being, they can't afford that house. So anyways, I will definitely let them know that they
Yep.
need to see an attorney.
Yep. I think that'll help a lot.
Okay.
If I can throw in something, I talked with another agent the other day who's got a buyer that's into new construction, and the developer also raised the price because when the property appraised, it's something like almost $30,000 over what the buyer had. And it's a quandary. The developers are doing some weird things. And if the appraisal comes in at almost 30,000 over what the buyer agreed to pay, for whatever reason, the developer is trying to justify the price, the developer builder has the upper hand because if it appraised at a certain amount, and if they lose the buyer, whether the buyer gets their money back, it's pretty confident that the buyer knows, or the seller, that the developer, that is, can sell a property at a greater value. So that's a sticky walk to make. So Ryan's suggestion, talking with an attorney, might be just a little consultation, could be a good bet for you.
Well, they didn't raise the price. What they did was the lender actually did something where the closing costs are now $30,000.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, just talk to an attorney. There's nothing we can do, anybody of us can do to help you. That you've got to talk to the attorney. You can't, I don't believe that you can do that and then keep somebody's deposit. You can't. They're changing the deal, and it's because the house took a certain amount of time to build or whatever. It does. That's not. It probably
it might have something to do with the rate lock and everything, and extending your rate lock.
Oh, I'm sure. Back in August, the rates were lower than they are now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Anything else? And if you want that, email me if you want that Excel spreadsheet. All right. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Go out there and sell. Let me know if you guys need anything. Bye, everybody.